Hi guys, welcome to Panicking. I'm your host Dama, and this is...
And I'm Olivia, and today we're going to be talking about creating safety plans, which is a really important thing. But I also think that people who've had experiences with like mental health services sometimes roll their eyes at the idea, because it's like you're always told to create a safety plan, right? And it can be difficult to see how it's helpful, how to implement it. And it can also be difficult, like when you're feeling so bad, to kind of you put these things into place. But I found that once I created a safety plan that resonated with me, it became really helpful. Have you ever created a safety plan, Dama?
I remember I was gonna say, like, you told me when I was like very like anxious about something and I needed your help. You were like, damn, you need to create a safety plan. And at first I was like, oh, exactly what you just said. People are like a bit, if I don't know the word, but like, yeah, they're a bit apprehensive to actually make one. But yeah, I think I did. It's just kind of like hard to implement it when you're in a moment of stress and panic.
Absolutely. I think it takes practice to implement it, but the first step is obviously building one that you actually like. And I found that like building one away from mental health professionals on my own has actually been better than like building it with a therapist or something, because I come up with stuff on the spot that I would actually never use. But what I found is like I write things down that actually work for me on the go. Which is really good. So like, shall I kind of give a definition of what a safety plan is for like people who might not come across it before? So a safety plan is basically a plan of action for if you're having suicidal ideations, if you're having suicidal thoughts, if you're having urges to kind of self-harm, or just to deal with overwhelming emotions in general. You don't necessarily have to be feeling suicidal or at risk of self-harm to have a safety plan. It can just be a case of like if you have panic attacks, or if you have overwhelming emotions, overwhelming anger, or something like that. A safety plan can be really helpful to like keep yourself and everyone around you safe. A safety plan can also be created when you're in like an abusive situation, but that's like a slightly different video and something that we could film if people were interested. But lots of people in kind of domestic abuse situations and things like that create safety plans as well, which is also important. But today we're going to be focusing more on like the mental health type safety plans. So yeah, like I think, should we just get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, I'm going to screen share because there's a particular website that I use that I found really good, because it's like a really interactive one. So can you see that okay?
Yeah, that's really good.
Awesome. So this website is called stayingsafe.net. And here it's got a few different information on like safety plans, but I always click here to download or make a safety plan. And then you make a safety plan electronically, and it has so it already has like my safety plan filled in, and you kind of just fill in the sections below, and yeah, it's just a really good like way to kind of I'm just pasting around things now. Way to like learn and think of ways to build your safety plan. So like the first thing is like getting through right now. So this is if you really are, if you're in one of those moments where you're really overwhelmed and it's not easy to do simple things. So we want like really nice, easy things to go in the first section, if that makes sense. So like a classic one for me is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, which I've spoken about before, which is like 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. and that's a really like good grounding exercise.
Yeah.
And another, sorry?
Breathing, taking like
Yeah.
deep breaths in.
Breathing is a good one. Square breathing. There's lots of different types.
Yeah, like breathing.
Belly breathing, yeah, things like that is really, really helpful. And drink a glass of water, something as simple as that.
Oh yeah, like making a cup of tea and like focusing on like the sounds and the actual like what you're doing.
Yeah, and this is like, people, again, you know, it's sometimes like feels like a dismissive statement, like, oh, just go make a cup of tea. We're not suggesting that like that will solve all your issues, because it won't.
No.
But it will just help you get through that really intense moment.
Yeah.
And you know, other like kind of healing work and recovery work can be done when you're in a slightly better place.
Yeah, it's about like taking like pausing, isn't it? Like, okay,
yeah,
actually think about it instead of like rushing into like a massive decision, for example. So yeah, like the tea situation is like, in my therapy I was told, you know, like it doesn't have to be tea, anything, but you know, when you go and put the kettle on, you're getting out, you're pushing a button, you're listening to the sound of like the kettle boiling, you know, you're doing something, and it's like such a simple thing that you do in the day or like whenever, but like it really, really helps in a very stressful situation.
yeah. So yeah, no, you're completely right. Like, pausing and taking a break is a really important way to cope when you're struggling, especially in those like moments of intensity. And I've been like learning through this book at the moment, which is the Dialectical Behavioural Therapy Skills Workbook. And in that, there's a technique called rest, which I think is right at the beginning. Let me just find it for us. So rest stands for relax, evaluate, set an intention, and take action. And this can be like a really good thing to go through when you're struggling. So relax just means, obviously, relax, take a few breaths, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever you need to do to get through that few seconds, and not to act impulsively, because I feel like I think we've all been in a situation where we've acted on emotion and then regretted it. So it's just like, take a step back, don't act straight away. You might even say out loud like stop, or rest, or come on, like chill out to yourself, or whatever, to kind of just snap yourself out of it just for the moment. Then there's evaluate, and it's ask yourself what is actually happening in this situation. So what is actually happening, and what are you creating yourself? Does that make sense? So what might actually be happening is that your partner hasn't texted you all day, and what you've created is your partner doesn't love you anymore because they haven't texted you all day, you know? So it's like, think, what do you know is reality and what is a guess? And then react on what you know is actually happening. So like, in that situation, if your partner hasn't texted you all day, on one hand, you know that he could just be busy. On the next hand, you know that they could just, on the other hand, you feel like they might not love you. So you've got these extremes. If you feel like the answer is that they don't love you, you might lash out, say things you don't mean, things you can't take back. But if you feel like, if you realize that the understanding that you have is that might be true, but it also might not be, you might send like a nicer text being like, I haven't heard from you all day, I'm getting a little bit worried, what's going on? And then they might text you back, oh, I'm really sorry, I've been asleep all day, or something. And then you haven't said or done anything that you regret.
Is that your type of answer to your partner? I've just been asleep all day.
I live with my partner, so I can't get away from him, unfortunately. I've usually been asleep all day. And then the third one is like to set an intention. So this can be, what do I need right now? So what can I do right now to make myself feel better in a productive, healthy way, right? So you'll be like, I'm going to go and watch an episode of Game of Thrones. Is a common one of mine at the moment. And then the last one, T, is take action, which is just go and do what you've set. So pick something from your safety plan and do it.
Yeah.
And that's like a good way to implement your safety plan. Yeah, so I found that really helpful. It is hard. It is like you do have to practice. Yeah, I feel like rest is like a really powerful technique, and I feel like that's some like good examples of what can go in the first section. Obviously, like you can, you know, do lots of different things, whatever works for you. And the good thing about this website is like the bottom bit here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so spend time with a pet.
Yeah.
And you can click down here and they can give you some really good,
nice. I like
really good suggestions. Actually, my favorite one is there's a website called feelinglikeshit.com.
I love that name.
And it's really good, and I always use it if I'm feeling like shit. And it takes you through just like, have you drunk some water, have you done this, have you done that? And that's a really helpful resource as well. Nice. So yeah, so the next section is making your situation safer. So my examples are like, if I'm unsafe in an unsafe location and get distressed, I promise myself I'll move away. Lewis looks after my medication, and I'll, you know, go to the rooms that I know are safe. And I won't go in the rooms that I know aren't safe.
Yeah. Take a nap is a big one. Yeah,
it's a good one to keep safe, because this again is like for those, you know, really situations where you feel really unsafe. So obviously, like, these prompts here are quite good as well. Is there a place you can easily get to where you feel safer? That might be a friend's house, that might be a park where there's lots of people around and you're not going to hurt yourself. That might be going down and sitting in the living room to watch TV with your parents, be anything like that.
Is it like surrounding yourself with other people that you know where you can't like harm?
Yeah, so taking yourself to a place where you're safe, where you can't act on certain thoughts. What can you do in the longer term to improve your safety? So reaching out for help, you know, getting support. When you're feeling okay, making certain like plans to keep yourself safe. For example, getting someone to look after medication, sharp objects, things like that. Can you remove anything you might use for harming yourself? If you get regular medication, can you store it somewhere safely, or perhaps for a small amount? And is there someone you can trust to look after some of it for you? So that might be a case of like asking your doctor to prescribe you just a week's worth of medication at a time. Or it might be getting your neighbour or your friend or your family to look after your medication for you and only giving you like a week's worth or something at a time.
Click on the things I can do right now, the suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm in an unsafe, that's, you know, when I used, ask someone else to remove anything I could use to harm myself. So if you don't feel able to remove things yourself, you can ask somebody else. Ask someone to look after my medication, only keep 2 to 3 days of medication at home, lock my medication away, remove any alcohol if you have kind of like an unhealthy relationship with drinking. Putting on a nice bright light to help me feel safe, that's good as well, because I think laying awake at night is just horrible, isn't it, in the dark. And avoid places where I feel unsafe. So yeah,
no, those are very good.
They are very important. You got anything to add?
No, those are good.
No. Okay, should we go to the next section?
Yeah.
Which is, my one is huge here. Like, I've got so many things to lift or calm your mood. So these can be like slightly bigger than the ones that went in the first section. So they can be like for when you just need help to feel a little bit better, not necessarily in your worst moments, just like your bad moments, you know, when you need a little bit of like support. So some examples is, you know, give Luna and Star a cuddle, have a tea, mocha, hot chocolate, give Dama a call and have a chat, wrap myself up in a blanket, ask Liz to go for a walk with me.
Oh, some chocolate, I like that.
Chocolate, yeah.
Nice.
Talk to Lewis, scrapbook, write a poem, play with the dog, do some yoga, get a massage, work on my website, call my dad or other family members, brush up on my Lithuanian, write a letter to Damon, because that's something we used to do, isn't it?
Yeah, we used to do that.
Draw a picture, make a list of things I'd like to do before I die.
Oh, I like those.
Write which celebrities I'd like to be friends with and why. Listen to sleep meditation or a guided nap meditation. Burn a candle.
Nice. Those are lovely.
Do you have any that you might add?
Yours are so good. I feel like when you have it on paper and in front of you, it's like there's so many options I could do right now. Like, you know, it takes you away from that distraction. And I think a lot of mine would be very similar to yours, like you know, reading a book or like meditation, eating something, like, yeah, talking to you, and like playing with the girls. Like, I think ours is very, very similar, but it's once you see it on paper, it makes it
realize everything you can do, yeah.
Rather than like, oh shit, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, and getting a bit overwhelmed. But when it's like there in front of you, you're like, oh, I'm gonna, yeah, that's what I feel like.
Should we have a look at some of the suggestions?
Yeah.
So there's like connecting with people. You know, that's either meeting someone in person, phoning someone, texting someone, going to the shops to see people around, going and sitting with a neighbour. So like connecting with people is a really important way to keep safe, I think, because you know, when you're around other people, you are just generally safer and also happier in the right circumstances. Calming activities, lots here. Listening to music is one I don't think I've got down. So I love Dermot Kennedy. Listen to some Dermot Kennedy. You know, wear a special item of clothing that is comfortable. You got a big, like, you've got your dressing gowns, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got my dressing gowns. I love having a bath.
Yes, yeah, that's a good one too. Using a weighted blanket. I used to have one that was really, really good.
Looking at photos. That is
looking at photos of nature can be really powerful.
I've got so many nice photos on my wall that is so nice and calming.
Yeah, so you can like sit back and look at them and really study them. I like this one. I feel like this one's very you as well. Look at a photo album of photos on my phone. So you can save all your happy photos in like a particular folder, so you're only looking at good photos that are going to make you happy. You don't want to stumble across like an ex or something. If you have like a happy folder, then like you can flick through that.
I mean, I love going through, like, for example, my Instagram archive stories, and it's like, oh, there's like an art piece that I did. Oh, it's like me ice skating. Oh, it's this. And because on Instagram, and I know this is like a completely different topic, but it's like you only really post the good things on social media, especially like, for example, my Instagram. There's nothing going to be like really, really bad. Do you know what I mean? It's all like uplifting. So for me, it's like my archive of like stories.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, just different things, some creative, playing a musical instrument, writing.
Photography,
yeah. Using a geography quiz app. I actually do that. It's one we used to play in school where it's like, oh, there's all the countries and you have to like type up names of the countries, and I do that to like distract myself a little bit.
You guys actually did that. I don't think we did that in geography, but I actually have tried it before. Not
Yeah. Watch
It's a
Panicking
blogger.
videos.
Yeah.
And I think this is important as well, like photos and reminders of positive things in your life is quite good.
Yeah.
To remind yourself why you're fighting like through the difficulties and all of that in life. Yeah, so sometimes trying to feel happy or calm feels like too big of a goal.
Mm.
You know, when you're really sad or you're really down, doing something that makes you feel happy is a bit too high of a goal. So sometimes you just want to focus on distracting yourself from the worst of the emotions for a little while. So these activities can be like similar, but they're also different. They can be a bit mindless even, sorry. Things that you don't really have to like think about too much, if that makes sense. So you might play like like a mobile game that like you don't really have to think about, and you can just play it until you feel a bit better.
App. What's that?
Use the Stay Alive app.
Yeah,
that's an app on mobile, and it's just got loads of different like activities on it for when you're kind of feeling like you need a distraction, really.
Right.
Being called like Stay Alive is obviously like a little bit like, you don't have to be suicidal or having suicidal thoughts to use the app.
Yeah.
It's just a really good way to help with like overwhelming emotions in general. There's also another one that I don't know if I've written it down.
What's Airfix?
Oh, Airfix is something me and Lewis do together, which is like creating, we build models of planes. You've done it with us.
Oh, yeah. Just didn't know it was called Airfix.
That's quite a good thing because that's just mindless. Like, you have to concentrate on it a lot, which is quite good. Do some admin for someone else or myself. So by that I mean like replying to emails and mindless tasks like that, but just something to do. Chores is usually a huge one to distract people. You know, I'll just clean the house or the room or whatever, just so I'm doing something, I'm not ruminating. Oh, there's the country quiz thing I'd use online. And looking at nature, like, yeah, that's just like, you know, it's like sorting out
your to-do list to get done in the day.
yeah, but that's basically what it is. Like, it's like a to-do list or whatever. Do you have anything that you might do to like distract yourself, or any other ideas?
I don't know. It's quite similar, isn't it?
I feel like for you, one thing that you usually do is like decluttering.
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah.
It's a hard task, I think. Like, to distract me, I have to be in a very good, like, I don't know if I would put that on because it is a bit like heavy on my mind.
Oh yeah, so that's the thing, different things will work for different people, and sometimes you just need to try things. And a lot of it, there is a lot of overlap between things to lift or calm your mood and things to just distract you. You know, there can be some overlap there, but it's useful, I think, to split them up into 2 different sections, because things to distract you can just be something as simple as like chores. When like lifting your mood feels like too hard a job. So like, we'll go on to the next section, which is like people to support you. So add the names of people to message or get in touch with just for a chat, and not necessarily to tell them about your feelings in any detail. write all their contact details and when you can contact them. So the idea of this is like, this doesn't need to be somebody, say that you're having suicidal ideation or you're having thoughts of self-harm. These aren't necessarily people that you need to tell that to. They're just people that you can call up and be like, how are you? And just chat to. It's kind of another way to distract yourself. But it's helpful to have the names of all of these. So for me, it would be, you know, obviously you would be on there, Lewis would be on there, my partner, other friends, just like acquaintances that I haven't spoke to in a while who might message and check up on. And I'll just write every single person, family who I might not feel comfortable kind of disclosing everything I'm going through. But it would be nice to like catch up. Little siblings and stuff who obviously it wouldn't be appropriate to like divulge. You might have your brothers on there, for example, Dama, to just be like, give my brothers a call. Obviously you wouldn't be telling them like the depths of maybe something that you're going through. Does that make sense? So that's just literally list everyone who you like to talk to. It's okay if you only have 2 people on there. It's okay if you have 20. It's just, you know, it can be anyone. It can just be people you enjoy talking to. It doesn't have to be people you necessarily trust or anything like that. And then the next bit is like a list of who you can talk to if you're distressed or thinking about self-harm or suicide. So in that situation, it would only be people that you're willing to kind of disclose your situation to. So that could be people in your life, that could be like a friend, a really close friend, close family, close partner, whatever. But it doesn't necessarily have to be them either. If you have no one in your life that you feel able to disclose your thoughts to, that's fine. It can be like Shout, Samaritans, Papyrus, Mind, Young Minds, Childline if you're under 18. So like, yeah, you can always reach out to these numbers.
Good.
And they are good. I've used them before. Shout I used to volunteer for. They're awesome.
I have called like what is it called?
Childline.
Childline, yeah, I have.
Yeah, I used to speak to Childline before. I spoke to the Samaritans, who I was on the phone to them for about 2.5 hours. The volunteer I spoke to, she was absolutely excellent. Papyrus was really good at giving me like next steps. They gave me some books to read and things like that. Mind, I always have good things to say about Mind because obviously I'm in one of their support groups. And when in Cambridge we have the NHS 111 option 2, which is for the mental health crisis. And they put us through to the Sanctuary, which is run by Mind, which is like a safe haven. You go there if you're feeling unsafe. So, you know, I can have that in like my places, my keeping safe section. I could have go to the Sanctuary, for example. And then I think the last thing is like, if you've tried all of this, or if you really, really don't feel able to cope on your own, it's important to like reach out for help, obviously. So the last section is just like emergency professional support. So that might be your GP, that might be the NHS 111. If you're struggling urgently, it could be 999. It also could be if you're with a crisis team, it could be like your social worker or the crisis team, and anyone that you can like reach out to for support. Is there any like urgent numbers I'm missing, do you think, Dama?
No, I think you've got it. Yeah.
No, and if you really don't feel able to kind of like talk to a mental health professional, and you don't feel able to reach out to anyone in your life, and you're a bit wary about like helplines and stuff, I really would suggest the Samaritans, because the Samaritans are confidential. I think practically regarding practically anything that you say. Some other helplines are obviously they have to tell people if you're in imminent danger of something, but the Samaritans are actually licensed a little bit differently. So if you're apprehensive, then I think the Samaritans are probably the place to go, and you can't lose by reaching out to them. So I would definitely suggest, like in that situation, to call the Samaritans. But yeah, I hope that has been helpful. Do you have any like summary thoughts, Dama?
No, I think that is really, really good. But also, like, some things like haven't worked for me that might work for other people. And for example, like if you try one thing and it doesn't work, don't give up. Like try something else. Like try a different emergency helpline or professional support. You know, you will find what works for you. And like, yeah, just keep trying. Don't give up. We're all in this together. We've got this. Get through it.
Yeah, you're so right, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like, it can get really frustrating because you want to feel better, and you want to feel better now, understandably.
Yeah.
So when you don't get the help you need from the first helpline you've called, you don't get the appointment you need, the first breathing exercise you try doesn't help, it can get really, really disheartening. And I think me and you both get that from personal experience, don't we? Like, you say some things just don't work, and sometimes you just don't get the help you need. But if you keep looking, you will find like what you need, and that's the important thing to remember. To just keep fighting really for yourself and for everything. So when you've created it on here, it's all saved on here. I go back and mine is always here.
Can you download as a PDF and see what that looks like?
Yeah, I'll show you. So it's quite pretty. Yes, this is how it looks.
Nice, that's beautiful. Different color.
Yeah, it's a pretty one as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, awesome. Guys, so we'll leave like all the links down below and everything. And thank you for watching. Panic and me. Come back soon. Hope this helps. And you know, we're all in this together. Like I said, we'll get through it. And yeah.
Yeah. So bye.